Hey everyone, welcome back. Let me tell you something that's been eating me up inside. It all started when I met Jake at his best friend's wedding. I was 22 and bam, just like that, I was head over heels. He seemed into me too, because the next day we were strolling through Central Park on our first date. Things got serious fast, like lightning fast. Jake was everything I'd ever wanted. Smart, kind, handsome, strong, and genuinely caring. He was my rock, my safe place. Whenever life threw punches, Jake was there, helping me figure things out, making me feel loved, truly loved. I adored him, completely and utterly. A year in, we got a place together in the city. Another year later, wedding bells. We were so excited to start our lives, but marriage, as you know, isn't always smooth sailing. Jake worked his tail off, always chipped in around the apartment, but money got tight. The pressure cooker was on, and arguments started boiling over. One fight, a real nasty one, I stormed out. Pride got the better of me. I expected him to come crawling back. But Jake, who usually hated confrontation, went radio silent. 2 weeks. 2 weeks of agonizing silence. I waited, fuming, for him to make the first move. During that time, Mark, his best friend, who'd become my friend too, saw I was a mess. He offered a shoulder to cry on. Innocent enough at first, but those talks took a dark turn. Anger and hurt twisted my thinking. Jake's silence. Proof he didn't care, I told myself. I wanted to hurt him back, to make him feel the way he was making me feel. So, in a moment of pure weakness, I crossed a line I should never have even approached. Just 3 days later, Jake was at my door, roses in hand, eyes full of regret. He apologized, begged me to come home, swore we'd work through everything. The sickening realization of what I'd done hit me like a freight train. Too late. I had screwed up big time. We patched things up, and for a while, it was like the storm had passed. Then I found out I was pregnant. Joy, nope, dread. Because I knew deep down this baby wasn't Jake's, it was Mark's. I wrestled with the truth, whether to tell him, how to tell him. But the guilt was a monster, crushing me. I convinced myself being a dad wasn't about blood. It was about love. Keeping quiet, I reasoned, was the best for everyone. Jake was over the moon when I told him. He was amazing throughout the pregnancy, showering me with love and care. The day Ryan was born is burned into my memory. Jake holding our tiny baby, tears in his eyes whispering, "My son, my joy, my pride." Right then I knew I could never shatter him with the truth. That secret went with me to the grave, I vowed. 14 years flew by. On the surface, picture-perfect family. Jake, the devoted husband and father. Ryan, who worshipped him. I buried my lie so deep even I almost started believing it. But secrets, they have a way of clawing their way back to the surface. One evening, I walked into our apartment to find Jake sitting in the dark, holding a stack of letters, unsent letters. My confessions, my guilt poured onto paper, never meant for anyone's eyes. His face was unreadable, his silence more terrifying than any yelling could have been. I crumbled to my knees, sobbing, begging for forgiveness, trying to explain the unexplainable. Jake said nothing, He just moved away from the window, sat on the couch, and buried his face in his hands. When he finally looked up, tears were streaming down his cheeks. Then, without a word, he walked out. That's when it truly hit me. The magnitude of what I'd done. I'd shattered the man I loved, the one who'd given me everything. The weight of my betrayal crushed me. I wanted to rewind time, erase it all. But time, it's a cruel mistress. It doesn't let you undo your sins. Jake moved out the next morning, ignoring my desperate pleas for him to stay. He didn't file for divorce, though, and he kept seeing Ryan. That tiny sliver of hope. That's what kept me breathing. Mark, meanwhile, found out he was Ryan's biological father about a year after he was born. At first, I thought it wouldn't matter to him. Boy, was I wrong. Over time, he developed this intense paternal bond with Ryan. He and his wife, Nancy, couldn't have kids of their own, and he even offered to take Ryan, raise him as his own. I refused. I loved Jake. I wanted my family, my real family, to stay together. And most importantly, Ryan only saw Jake as his father. Mark was just some acquaintance, polite chit-chat at school events. For months, I searched for a way to fix the unfixable. Then, one evening, Ryan came home, mentioned he and Jake had talked about our family's future. My heart leaped. Was there a chance? Gathering every ounce of courage, I asked Jake to meet me for dinner. To my shock, he said yes. What started as a stiff, awkward meal in some fancy NYC restaurant turned into a long walk through Central Park, just like our first date, all those years ago. We talked, we laughed, and for the first time in months, I saw a flicker of the man who had once loved me unconditionally. That night, I arranged for Ryan to stay at a friend's place. Jake and I spent the night together, and for the first time in years, I felt whole again, or at least a semblance of it. The next morning, making breakfast, I dared to hope we could rebuild, salvage what was lost. A few days later, Jake showed up at our doorstep with his suitcase. I could barely believe it. Ryan, overjoyed, practically tackled his dad in a hug. Tears streamed down my face. Jake was home. Since he's been back, he hasn't mentioned my betrayal. No anger, no resentment. The unspoken truth hangs heavy between us, but his actions, they speak volumes. He's choosing to move forward. His love for Ryan, that hasn't wavered. Recently, Jake and I were talking about Ryan's college plans, and somehow the conversation drifted to the idea of having another child. Despite some health issues I've been dealing with, Jake was so supportive of me looking into treatments. The doctors gave us a glimmer of hope. Meanwhile, Mark's past caught up to him. Nancy found my letters. Devastated, she confronted me in a storm of rage and heartbreak. She screamed. She cried. She even slapped me. I didn't fight back. I had no right to. I don't know what the future holds. Jake and I are still walking on eggshells. I'm terrified he'll wake up one day and realize he can't live with what I've done. But for now, I have this second chance, and I'll do whatever it takes to prove I'm worthy of it. Time can't be reversed, but maybe, just maybe, love can still find a way to heal. I'd hoped Nancy would come around. Give Mark another chance. But last week, she filed for divorce, kicked Mark out. What kills me is their two young daughters, 12 and 5. Their family shattered because of me. My mistake. 6 people suffering because of me. my beloved husband, who poured his life into our family. My son, who'll never know his idolized father isn't his biological dad. My best friend Nancy, who lost her marriage because of me, now alone with 2 kids, her 2 little girls who lost their favorite daddy. And Mark himself, he lost the most. His best friend, Jake, gone. His wife, who won't even look at him. His daughters, Nancy won't let him near them, poisoning their minds, calling him a traitor. His apartment, everything he worked for, Nancy's taking it all. All this pain, all this suffering, it's all my fault. Do I even have the right to have more children? Why did Jake forgive me? If I were him, I wouldn't even look at me. I started therapy, hoping we could have another baby. But it didn't work out. We decided it wasn't worth it. The treatments were expensive, low chance of success. Jake seemed okay with it at first, but later I saw how deeply it wounded him. The worst happened at the end of summer. Exactly what I'd always feared. Ryan found out the truth, a day etched in fire in my memory. I wish I could forget, but I can't. I genuinely believed I could shield my child from my mistakes. Hoped, prayed, all for nothing. When Ryan learned the truth, something inside him just broke. He transformed. Sweet, kind boy, so loving, so caring, gone, replaced by someone I barely recognized. Within days. For nearly 4 months now, we've been living in hell. Ryan started drinking, smoking, staying out all night, God knows where. He's fallen in with a rough crowd, kids with bad reputations. Just looking at them sends shivers down my spine. I call the cops, begging for help. Family issue, deal with it. We have bigger fish to fry. That's all they said. Ryan hates Jake now, even though they were inseparable. What did he say to his father? I try to understand. He's a kid hurting because of my choices. But Jake didn't deserve any of this. He endured so much when the truth about Ryan came out, then losing the chance for another child, and now this living nightmare. A month ago, Jake started having heart problems, hospitalized with heart attack symptoms. Thankfully, not a heart attack, but he's on meds. Maybe needs surgery. Doctors warned him to avoid stress. But Ryan, he provokes him at every turn. I try to step in, but Jake just looks at me, helpless, resentful. I see his pain, feel it daily. He spends his days in bed, silent. I tell him depression will break his heart, but he doesn't listen. We're only 39, but he looks 50, always sad, always tired. I've got wrinkles, bags under my eyes. I'm living in a hell of my own making. Every day I berate myself, pray for peace, for harmony. But I've lost faith, not in God, not in happy endings for us. I see now how foolish I was, thinking I could escape the consequences. I carry the weight of ruining 6 lives, a heavy burden on my soul. Mark, he's in even worse shape. Nancy divorced him, took him to the cleaners in court, left him homeless. She spiraled, partying, drinking, changing partners like clothes, completely broken by my betrayal, her best friend's betrayal. I tried to talk to her a few times, but she just explodes, hysterical, screaming. She's always been fragile, and I shattered her. Their daughters are with Nancy now, crammed into a tiny apartment, trying to shield them from her revolving door of boyfriends. Haven't heard from Mark in 6 months, since the divorce. Total silence. December 31st. Supposed to be joy. Celebration. Not for me. Jake went to see his parents upstate. Ryan. No idea where he is. Doesn't answer his phone. I've lost all my friends. We're outcasts. Shunned. I sit here at the table, bottle of wine, crying. Not for joy. For loneliness. This whole mess. It reminds me of something that happened last year. On vacation in Croatia. First day, lunch. Met this couple. Didn't really matter where they were from. Rick and Melissa. Scuba diving fanatics, just like my husband, Steve. We spent most of our time together, meals, dives, shopping, evening events. Only time we weren't together was breakfast. Melissa was a late sleeper. Didn't bother me, mornings to myself. But I get bored easy, so I'd head to the beach, or later when it cooled down, go for a walk. Breakfast. We sat with different people. Usually these two younger guys. Didn't pay much attention. One spoke English well, slight accent. The other quiet, just smiled. Wondered where they were from. Sweden, Germany. Didn't want to be rude and ask. Just exchanged greetings. Good morning. Enjoy your meal. Joy. Vacation routine. Mornings, Rick and Melissa, beach. Hot part of the day, rooms or exploring the city. Cooled down, diving. Back to beach, sunset. Bar or cafe, dancing. Me, no scuba diving. Steve tried to get me into it, but no way. Claustrophobia, panic, running out of air. Couldn't shake the fear. Steve went diving without me. I'd stay on the boat, swim around, sunbathe. After a few days, got bored with that too. Hotel pool, swimming, magazines. One day, by the pool, reading. Good afternoon. Voice startled me. Dropped my magazine, turned. Breakfast guy, smiling. My frown wiped the smile right off his face. Apologizing, said he didn't mean to scare me. I just stared, went back to my magazine, heart still racing. He came back. Another apology. Asked if he could buy me a drink. Hesitated, then said yes. That was the start of something. Vacation went on. Got used to each other's company. Liked our talks. Nothing off limits. As the days passed, I started liking him. Melissa's birthday. Steve, Rick, Melissa and I, half the day hunting for the perfect gift. Evening charming cafe, light dinner, dancing. Guys, whiskey. Melissa and I, local red wine. Light, smooth, went down way too easy. No harshness at all. Didn't realize how much I'd had. Head felt light, buzz creeping in. Melissa and I had a blast on the dance floor, laughing, lost in the music. Steve and Rick, table, deep in conversation. We'd come back to the table now and then, catch our breath, refill our glasses. Atmosphere was magical, music intoxicating. Sitting down, glanced at the bar. Trey. He saw me too. Waved. I waved back. Didn't expect him to come over. But he did. May I invite your wife to dance? Trey asked Steve. Steve momentarily pulled away from Rick, nodded absent-mindedly. Trey and I started with fast dances, then slow, hand on my waist, arms around his shoulders, swaying to the rhythm. He leaned in, whispered something in my ear, made me giggle. Light, innocent. At first, music ended, back to the table. Melissa, looking bored with the guys' talk, invited Trey to join us. He accepted surprisingly. Talking, we found out it was Trey's birthday too. Toast to Melissa, toast to Trey, drinks flowing. Soon, Melissa, Trey and I, back on the dance floor. Another slow song. Trey turned to me. Shall we? Hesitated, then nodded. Swaying, felt his hand slide down my hips. Trey, I murmured. What? Innocent look. Your hand. Oh, sorry. Shifted it back to my waist. Happened again and again. Each time, sorry. Naive smile. But his touch lingered. Kept moving his hand, then just gave up. Put it back where it should be. Next slow dance, gentle caresses again. Stopped resisting. Dim dance floor, no one noticed. Sensation of his touch, shiver down my spine. Are you uncomfortable? Trey's voice, smooth, teasing. Question stunned me. Expected another excuse, not acknowledgement. Mind raced. No answer. He pulled me closer, breath warm against my ear. You're beautiful. I liked you so much when I first saw you. Words blurred. Flattery, admiration, desire. Intoxicating. Wine, haze in my head. Stop it, please, I whispered, voice shaky. No conviction. Compliments didn't stop. Lips found my ear, hair, neck. Shivers, pleasure. Then he kissed me. Breath caught, mind screamed, body frozen. Lips on my skin, hands guiding me, gently, insistently. Stop it, voice trembled. Desire, fear, both. He took my arm, led me away. Trance, thoughts fogged by alcohol, heat of the moment. Past the cafe, shadows of an alley, behind bushes, back pressed against something hard. Lips claimed mine again. Heart pounding, skin tingling. Thrill, secrecy, risk. Blurred together, hands roaming, breath uneven. Every nerve ignited, conflicting sensations. Then he stopped, breathing hard, lost in haze. Distant music, laughter, reminded me where I was, who I was. Married woman, wife. Wife who just betrayed her husband with a stranger. You're amazing, Trey murmured. Slipped paper in my hand. When your husband falls asleep, come over. Number. Days. Stumbled to cafe bathroom. Cold water splashed on flushed cheeks, jolted me back. What had I done? Stomach twisted with guilt. But deep down, something else stirred. Dark, thrilling. Deep breath, composed myself, back to the table. No questions. sank into my seat, poured more wine, sipping slowly, masking turmoil. Steve, drunk but perceptive. Katie, you okay? Nodded. Should we go home? Another nod, mind reeling, part of me still electrified. But the weight of my actions. Steve, unsteady, too drunk to notice my trembling hands, distant gaze. Walking back, pulse pounding. Mistake, anomaly, fleeting recklessness, I told myself. But deep down, I feared this night would haunt me forever.